Most of us assume, and quite innocently so, that the World Bank's ease of doing business, EODB index, is the gold standard of economic performance. In reality, it's an extremely narrow, even misleading summation of just a few economic rules which matter to a tiny, very tiny sliver of India's vast population. Here are a few eye-opening, you'd even find them eye-popping facts. EODB is derived from the subjective views of a few dozen experts in Mumbai and Delhi. That's it. It's not based on an objective statistical collation of hard facts gathered from across the country. Therefore, its outcome matters to less than 5% of India's population. Most of the improvement came from just four rules. That was swiftly changed by the finance minister at a meeting held on the 26th of December 2017. This has been criticized as a sort of quota coaching class approach to gaming the system rather than effecting a fundamental change. See what these four are. One, enforcing a single window clearance for building permits in Delhi and Mumbai, allowing exporters to seal their containers electronically, reducing physical inspections to 5% of shipments. 3, introducing a single form for company incorporation. And 4, lowering the cost of getting electricity. That's it. Just these 4 meager tweaks to a few rules in Mumbai and Delhi are supposed to have transformed India's economy. Never mind the fact that on 3 significant parameters, paying taxes, resolving insolvency and enforcing contracts, we actually slipped. But why bother with such trivia in our post-truth world? Now, it's even more critical to check what the EODB index does not take into account. Now, you will be astonished again to see how lethally narrow its underpinning actually is. 1, it does not consider a drop in the investment rate from 37% to 27% in less than a decade. It doesn't take into account the shortfall in GST collections by nearly 1 lakh crore, rupees 1 trillion in the current fiscal. It doesn't take into account the withdrawal of nearly 1 trillion, again 1 lakh crore, by foreign portfolio investors this year. It doesn't take into account the increase in unemployment to 18.9 million by 2019, and these are as per ILO stats. It doesn't take into account sluggish exports through 4 years of the Modi government, even once they failed to touch the record set in 2013-14 of $313 billion worth of exports. It doesn't take into account the non-performing assets of nearly $130 billion. That's about 9 trillion rupees, 9 lakh crore rupees on the balance sheets of Indian banks. It doesn't take into account the refusal by the government to honor global arbitration awards on tax disputes. Now see what Prime Minister Modi's older echo chamber, the Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, had said just 2 days, that's on the 16th of November, just 2 days ahead of the Prime Minister's euphoric event to celebrate EODB's success. And I'm going to quote GCCI verbatim. Gujarat's textile production to fall by at least 20 to 25% this year on account of GST and attacks on migrants. Surat's synthetic cloth production is down from 4 crore to 2.5 crore meters. Gems and jewelry exports down by 4.3% this year. 50,000 units in Surat and Saurashtra, employing 200,000 workers, could down shutters because of the delayed refund of input credits. Over 2,000 SMEs are on the verge of closure due to the ban on plastics in major Gujarat cities. Nearly 5.38 lakh youth were registered as unemployed in Gujarat in December 2017. Only 12,689 youth got government jobs over the past 2 years. Ahmedabad has the highest number, that's about 62,608, unemployed youth registered at the exchange. Finally, and I quote them again, this slowdown can be termed as the worst in the past 4 years. Now, if you're still not convinced, consider this. Over the last month, 2,000 Indian startups have received notices from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA, asking them to justify the premium at which they have raised equity funds, or else face harsh penalties and taxes. This has reopened and sprinkled fresh salt on old wounds, because 2 years ago, the Income Tax Department had issued exactly similar notices. But this time, the net has been widened to include private equity and venture capital investors as well, in addition to angel investors. It's a second and more severe whammy for the same quote-unquote crime. So even as Prime Minister Modi got India shining bouquets from his Mumbai and Delhi echo chamber on EODB, ease of doing business, his Gujarati kinsmen and India's first generation founders, I mean, of course, if he had cared to speak to them, would have given a very different India taxing brickbat. And you know, the acronym would have then read Egregious Officers Destroying Business, that is EODB.